Growing up in the Philippines, back in my day, no, after school, since I started going to school, ayan na, labasan na yung mga kapitbahay, susunduin na kami sa bahay namin or kami magsusundo sa ibang kapitbahay. Magsisimula na yung larong kalye. Yan, mga paborito ko dyan, patintero, tumbang preso, hindi ako magaling dyan. Hindi ako na masyado naglalaro niyan. Piko, hindi rin ako masyado naglalaro ng piko. Pero yung luksong tinik, yan, tsaka yung limbo rock, tsaka yung Chinese garter, pati jackstones after school, where that's not very physical, but those are the kinds of games that we used to play when we were kids. You know, the titos and titas from the 70s and the 80s, yun, alam nila yan. Alam nila yung mga ganyan. Yun yung unfortunately hindi na ginagawa ng mga bata ngayon. As a young mother, I got hooked into yoga. Since I didn't develop the sports skills early on, I actually excelled in yoga and I enjoyed it. And I started enjoying the active meditation. Kasi iba na yung challenges mo as a mother than when you were younger in school. So at that time, it really provided me with kind of the peace that I needed, plus the physical exertion that also took out the stresses of the demands of that time. No? At one point naman, when I reached my 40s, I got injuries that prevented me from doing yoga. So, nung nag-stop ako with my physical activities because of my injuries, I started becoming grumpy and, you know, it just wasn't right. So, I started getting into personal training, like with an actual personal instructor, because I needed guidance on the movements. Mahal ang personal trainer, pupunta siya sa bahay mo, he's going to guide you with all the use of equipment. So per hour yan, whether in the Philippines or here in Canada, it's expensive. But I decided to go and do it because I really needed, I knew na at this point, I knew the value of moving, of having physical movement, for faster healing and also for my mental health. Pagdating ko dito sa Toronto, wala naman akong personal trainer. So I started looking at what I can possibly do. And then I discovered dance. They also have wonderful dance studios around the GTA. This is a video I'm not proud to show you, but I'll just show you an example of a dance class that I joined. Ang dami yung parang, what the hell am I doing? How the hell, you know, anong itsura ko dito? But if you're self-conscious that way, it might not make you want to start out doing dance classes. Pero if in your mind, iniisip mo lang is, I want to have fun, because it's music, you're dancing, you're not actively thinking of, you know, form and posture. Kahit na medyo natatawa ko sa itsura ko, that I'm not as good as the, you know, the ones we see on TV, the professional dancers. Well, I had fun. So because badminton is relatively easy to learn, we got our kids into badminton, and my husband was also good at racket sports. And even I was able to play it kasi it's not as technical as the other racket sports or the other sports in general. Basically, if you get to hit the shuttlecock, you can play, you know, not competitively, but at least have fun with the family. So that's what we did. Aside from badminton, my kids also tried boxing, ballet, pickleball, stand-up paddle, among others. Here in Canada, I got them to try wrestling, arnis, K-pop dance, and even sometimes go to puppy yoga classes para lang mailabas sila ng bahay. If you're not from Canada, you're not aware that, you know, community centers actually offer these things, so you don't know how it goes. You don't know whether you should reserve or, you know, how do you even start playing? How do you start reserving? I also realized that they're by age group and it's not available every day. It's not like there's a badminton court and you can just go there and play and pay. No, ito, they have certain schedules for a specific age group, for example, 65 years old and above, or 6 to 12 years old. And then there's also a family time where everyone naman is welcome. but then it's different sports every day. There was even this one time that we showed up in the community center at the time where they said there was going to be a game of badminton, and then may pila pala. Like, we had to be there an hour early pala because it was already full when we got there. Apparently, the people went an hour earlier to have themselves registered. So may mga ganon. It's not applicable in all of the community centers, but in some, it's like that when it gets full. So how are you supposed to know that, diba? After that, I discovered that Markham is actually full of badminton courts. So first, tell us about Can Sports. What should people know about this facility?
Yeah, it's a brand new big facility in Markham, and I think what makes it unique is that it's multi-sport and it's open 24 hours. So right now we offer not only badminton, but basketball, pickleball, a full gym, and there's still more to come. It's a big space, so we have 12 badminton courts right now, and upstairs we have 2 full-size basketball courts with a few half courts as well. So it's not only like a space, but like you said, high quality and pretty big.
Mm-hmm. How do people join, or how do people play? Do they have to be members? How does it go?
Right now for our badminton, anyone is welcome. You can come in for a drop-in, you can rent a court with your friends, you can take lessons. And same with our basketball, there's like a $20 membership, and with that you get cheaper fees when it comes to drop-in, court rental, and if you were to take lessons as well.
So the $20 for basketball is, what's that, for a year?
Yeah, for a year, exactly.
Okay, but you can also drop in without the membership.
You can, yes, exactly. But so we have different fees depending on the time of day. So peak hours is a little bit more expensive, but if you're playing overnight, it can be a little bit cheaper. But yes, anyone is welcome.
Why did you think of making it 24 hours? Like, is there actually a market of people coming in at 3 a.m.?
Yeah, at our previous badminton club, we would have people wanting to rent the court until 2 a.m. And I think, like you mentioned before, there are the anytime fitness for people doing shift work that might want to work out overnight. So I think that will make the facility unique.
That's awesome. And then you also have what the other facilities, like the dance and the golf simulator. Yes. I see it in the elevator. What is?
Yeah, so right now we have a gym that has like a yoga dance studio beside, so we'll start to offer classes there. And then it hasn't come yet, but we'll have I think around 7 golf simulators, and also a spa for people to get massages while they're here as well. And one more thing we're waiting for is we're going to have a restaurant as well on the main floor.
Mm-hmm. What about the prices?
I think we're similar to other clubs, but here, especially with the badminton, they invested a lot in the quality. Like here, if you look at the badminton floors, it's like a really nice wood floor with mats on top, and really good light ceiling height. So definitely a high quality facility. I think they invested a lot, especially on the ground and the floor here, so that's good for our top players when they're training. That I think it makes a big difference on their joints for the long term.
And you know what you're talking about when you talk about badminton. The manager of the facility just happens to be a former Olympian.
I started playing badminton when I was 8, and then kind of had a natural progression. I started playing just local tournaments, and then provincial tournaments, and then national tournaments, and then ultimately competed in the Olympics in 2021, just since it was delayed with COVID. So yeah, I've been involved in badminton for over 20 years, so I know that it makes a big difference, like where you train and the quality of the courts and the space.
When you think of Canada, you don't immediately think of badminton as the Olympic sport for Canada. What made you, get into it compared to the other more Canadian sports?
Yeah, it's a good question. I was lucky, actually. I was brought up it's called the Granite Club, which is kind of similar to this facility. It was a multi-sports facility, so I was allowed or able to try many different sports. My parents were very supportive of me just picking whichever one I enjoyed the most, and although it's not the most popular, I enjoyed badminton the most. And then I moved actually training to Markham because that's where they had a lot of competitive training facilities when I decided I wanted to transition from just playing for fun to competitive. So I came to train in Markham, and I was lucky my parents would help me commute there because we were living downtown. And yeah, in this Markham area, it seems to be like the badminton hub in Ontario, and this club is adding to that.
So I'm just getting two important nuggets of information from what Rachel said. Like, her parents encouraged her to try different kinds of sports, and it's up to her where she'd want to, which one she'll choose eventually. And she decided to focus on badminton, and then also the support of her parents to actually bring her all the way to Markham just to be able to train and play. We can't just complain that our kids are always in their iPads or in their gadgets. We also have to be actively involved in letting them enjoy or choose a physical activity. Of course, they will complain in the beginning, right? Do you remember, like, not wanting? Of course, you want to sleep. You know, you want to sleep in on a weekend. You want to go home right after school. But it's up to parents to push. Did they ever push you? Did you ever resent? You know, do you remember the time when, you know, you didn't want to be pushed to do sport?
I was very fortunate. Both my parents were very athletic, so from a young kid, I would remember, you know, after school they would play catch with me or take me to the park and stuff like that. So for sure there were times that I didn't want to do it, rather stay home, but then once you get that feeling of like improving or the work you put paying off, then it came from like me like wanting to do it myself.